Peace, Hotep, and Black Power, and Rahobat. I decided to do this video because every time I turn around, I feel like black men are either being reprimanded for something or being thrown under the bus for something that had nothing to do with them at all. This comes from something I saw this morning, which was kind of very disturbing. It was kind of, I'm just going to keep that word disturbing. It was a video that was shared, and it was a sister on there. She was giving her critique of a Ricky Smiley show that aired this morning, where he was making a joke about black women. I don't want to paraphrase too much. I'm gonna be very specific. He stated that, like a joke. Basically, it was like two black women walk into a room, and the black cast iron started laughing. And first of all, the joke is not funny at all. It was stupid. He was very disrespectful in that sense of dark black women. That was the whole joke. The whole joke was to make fun of dark-skinned black women. And what was funny was, Ricky Smiley, he has brown-skinned daughters. Because she pointed that out. She's like, that's funny that someone would make a joke like that knowing that he has dark-skinned daughters. See this in my eyes. Okay, this is better. And I was like, yeah, that is kind of whack. That is kind of messed up for him to do that. But rather than continue the argument against Ricky Smiley, which would make it more, I could ride with her with that. I would ride with her if she just left it to him. Because, she was like, well, don't let me get on you, crackhead looking something. It was like, oh, she about to go there. But then she stopped herself. And then she was like, see, this is a prime example of how black men throw black women under the bus. And so I'm saying to myself, okay, what does Ricky Smiley have to do with all black men? As a matter of fact, let me be specific. She said most. And so I was like, what does most black men have to do with the incident that Ricky Smiley did? Because, truth be told, I don't follow Ricky Smiley like that. But for the most part, I don't really see Ricky Smiley saying anything disrespectful about black people like that. He's dressed up in a dress. He's done the feminization thing. But I haven't seen him just outwardly disrespect black women or disrespect black people. It was funny. It's like she used the Ricky Smiley argument to go in on black men. Because she was like, most black men are disrespectful towards black women. Most black men don't protect black women. See, that's what I'm talking about. She kept saying the word most black men, most black men, most black men. And it was like, yeah, dark-skinned black, and she's not even dark herself, so I was like, okay. But she has a right to defend dark-skinned black women, of course. If she considers herself to be black, that's fine. But then the fact that you're using that pulpit or soapbox to throw black men under the bus is actually whack. And it totally nullifies whatever argument she had against Ricky Smiley. Because it's like you're using one man to justify probably your hatred towards a lot of them. Whatever an individual or some other individuals did against you has nothing to do with anybody else. That's the same thing as if a black male went on a tirade about calling black women bitches and this and that, or the same thing is, let's flip it to a whole different gender. If a black woman was doing the same exact thing, she's not right for that. No other black woman. If a black man was sitting there saying, yeah, black men ain't, black women ain't shit, blah 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 blah, he should be held accountable for that, right? So why isn't, whenever I see sisters do that, throw black men under the bus for like out of nowhere though? I'm like, it's nothing in the news, you know what I'm saying, unless you want to use Jesse Williams. Is he really black? I don't know. But anyway, it's like, if your argument is against black men, you better have a real strong argument. Because what's really funny, one thing I noticed is that all you have to do is say woman is God, If I say woman is God one good time, then I know I got black women's attention. I know I can get them on my side, because that's become a gimmick right now. It's a gimmick to just say that black woman is God, boom, and then I can corral you to my side. That's called placating. That's a lateral movement in an argument. It's like you're not really going anywhere, but you're trying to get people. You're trying to get a solidarity with a specific group by no longer praising or giving acknowledgement, but now brown nosing. Because again, I'm gonna make this point, and this is truth. There's not one point, there's not one time in a day that I don't see black men also being disrespected. Because I can sit here and say black women are the most disrespected people, they're most unprotected. I can say that every day and make that argument every single day, right? Make it every day. But if I flip it, people look at me sideways. I'm like, at what point in the day is black men not disrespected themselves? See, this is the thing. If you're going to make an argument for one, you're going to have to make an argument for both. Because if one is in bondage, both is in bondage. There was not, in slavery, it wasn't the women had it worse or the men had it worse. We were both in bondage. So at what point is it better if I talk about one gender over the other? At what point did we get to that point? Please let me know. It's like we're getting to the point, as I keep saying to a lot of my brothers, gender immunity, where I can, like, as a sister, I can say whatever I want against black men, throw them under the bus, and I get a huge crowd, cheerleaders follow me, whatever. But flip it and be a man, and all of a sudden I'm female bashing if I'm just holding someone accountable. And that's the thing I've noticed, is that the accountability is gone. It's like, I'm not saying you should point the finger at black women every single day. What I'm saying is that black male bashing needs to stop. I have no problem with you wanting to hold, let's say, Steve Harvey accountable if he says something disrespectful towards black people. But don't use Steve Harvey to generalize majority of black men, because majority of black men are not like Steve Harvey. That's very unintelligent and actually is very intellectually dishonest. What's funny is for me personally, people get mad at me if I generalize white people, right? But what's funny is these same people will agree with you that white people are the enemy. If your argument, sometimes you can have a weak argument and prove your point with that. That's a generalization. What's funny is that white people, for the most part, have never been through an oppressive situation, because even with the Irish now, that whole myth of Irish slavery has been debunked because it was a lie in the first place. But what's funny is when it comes time to generalizing black men, because the easiest thing to do in society is blame black men for everything going wrong. You can blame black men for global warming. You can blame black men for ice glaciers, breaking apart. You can blame black men for HAARP. You can blame black men for damn near everything going on, right? And basically get away with it because there's an audience for that. There's an audience to throw black men under the bus. And there's a lot of sisters who contribute, who are in that audience because of anger. So what happens is, when you're already generalizing that group and someone else comes in and says what you want to hear, then you gain that following. You gain a following of people who are just angry. I'm talking specifically to a lot of sisters who do this every single day. I go online and I hear someone saying, black men don't protect us. Black men don't do this. Black men don't do that. And so I'm saying, damn. So why are you with us then? Why do you want us? Do you want us by default? Or are you really attracted to us anymore? This isn't me crying. This isn't me bitching. This is me making a real point. Because sometimes I just look at it and just be like, wow, you're going pretty hard for someone who is attracted to black men. What's your real problem? Like, what is your real angle? What is your angle? Because again, if I went on my page and I just started talking about things about sisters, someone would be in my face or in my inbox asking me, what's your problem? Now, there were several sisters who, every time I turn around on their page or whatever they posted, It was something dealing with how bad black men were. And the moment I hit them on the inbox to say, hey, what's going on? How you doing? Is everything all right? All of a sudden, it was like, why you ask me that question? What's your problem? I'm like, really? That's a bunch of bullshit. So basically, I can't hold you accountable for what you're doing, but you can hold me accountable for what I'm doing. See, that right there, it's like, basically what you're saying is, you can brat out online whenever you feel like it. There's an audience for that, as I said. But if I flip it and say this is what sisters need to stop doing, all of a sudden people have a problem with what's being said. Where does that come from? Is my question. I can pose this to the audience and would like to know what exactly is the source of that type of activity, that behavior. Because it's very kiddish to go online and complain. Like, because the onlooker, let's say, for example, if I'm not black, I'm a black man myself, but if I'm not black and let's say I'm Hispanic, and this sister got Hispanic friends, I'm not even gonna say white friends, let's just say Hispanic friends, I would be like, well, damn, black men suck. If all you got to do is every time I turn around, I'm seeing how bad black men are. We're rapists, pedophiles. We're this, we're that. We're punks. I see it every day. And sometimes I don't say nothing. A lot of times I'll be like, wow, really? It's like, and then they justify the vitriol. Here's the thing. If you're going to hold one group accountable, you need to hold the other group accountable as well for the same behavior. We were both in bondage. We both suffered Willie Lynch. We were both victims of the Ma'afa and victims of white supremacy. How do you hold one accountable for what both went through? That's my question. How does it make sense to do that? And how does it make sense to throw one group under the bus every single day? As much of information or as much of what we get from every other race outside of our doors, and for us to click online and see it from our natural counterpart, the African woman. How is that cool? I hear it from everybody else and I gotta hear from you? I don't mind someone coming in, nigga, get your ass up and get to work. I don't mind that. I don't mind a little accountability. I don't mind, but if all I'm hearing is how bad I am, I'm just like, who wants to hear that? Because my thing is, you'll never see me say anything directly or out of anger towards sisters online. You'll never see me say that. You'll never see me say that. Ever. You know what I'm saying? You'll never see me do that. You'll never see me say anything out of anger towards black women, because I came from one. Why would I do that? You know what I'm saying? As long as I know in the history of ancient Africa, there has been duality in our spiritual systems. Male and female duality, 8 and 8, 4 and 4. I'm trying to understand how one is how you can put one over the other in terms of accountability. If we're both screwing up, we're both screwing up. We hold each other accountable. That's what we do to get better. Accountability is necessary in order for you to grow and get better as a person. That's just to watch that. Just imagine how a person who busts his ass every day. I'm not just talking about me, but a person who busts his ass every day, does work, comes home, pays bills, community service, does everything he can to stretch himself thin, and he gets online and you get, how evil we are, how bad we are. Like, as a sister that, whether she's single mothers or just single or going through it, it's crazy. That's why I try to put myself in the shoes of other people before I make certain statements. And some things I say is very obvious. Sometimes we like to, with black people, we kind of dance around the issue sometimes just to play games. Raul back, King Cam L. York. That's, it's just something to see that I hate seeing. But it's something that we need to start paying attention to. If we're going to really move forward and What did King Cam say? I don't have a problem with a single mom. Wow, you mentioned. It's just, the point is that why would us as black men want to see it every day? If you want to hold us accountable individually. If you want to, if a sister wants to do a whole lecture about how black male need to be held accountable, okay, fine. It's not like we heard it enough, but fine. But do not complain when you get the same thing from a black male saying sis need to be held accountable for this. Don't make it seem different if you get a brother doing the same thing to you. Whereas, again, the tables are turned. Now it's time to play the victim role. Black men don't have time to play victim roles. Neither do sisters. If they goddess and we're God, then we got to do what we have to do. Or if you believe that they're God and we're not and we're beneath, whatever you believe in, fine. But if at the end of the day, I need her and she needs me in order to procreate and come together, so in reality, no one is more valuable than the other. And that's truth. You can try to put one over the other all day. It doesn't, that ideology itself hasn't worked, so what is the point? It's just me calling things from what I see every single day as a black man online, and it's getting old and it's very stale. If you want to hold black men accountable, teach a class, but also be very honest in your assessment of us. Because if you want to take it there, then you're going to get a lot of, because with Tommy Sotomayor, he's like the devil, right? But let's make Tommy Sotomayor a female. Would that person still be the devil? Whereas you got a black woman online throwing black men under the bus every single day, every chance she gets. How much accountability do you think she would have? I don't think any at all. I think very few. Because you can make it into a movie and get away with it. That's why you had, Color Purple, Wait and Exhale, Precious, and countless others. And countless books about how black men are just so evil and so venomous and disrespectful. Because it's easy to do. I can make if I wrote a book about how black men are like so disrespectful, I could make a bunch of money. But if I held both groups accountable, not too much. Because again, there's an audience for beating down the black man because it's normal. And we partake in it ourselves as well. You can't be progressive as a group if you're not trying to move forward and come up and correct mistakes and move forward. Remember, we are prisoners of war under white supremacy in America. There's no prisoner above the other. We're both in chains. We're trying to get off those chains and be a sovereign nation. Okay? Just my take. Peace, Black Power, Hotep, Wadu.